Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and current events from around the world. We've got a packed show for you, with stories that will make you think, spark important conversations, and keep you informed about what's happening globally. We're starting off with a look at the state of international law and human rights. Amnesty International has just released its annual report, which paints a concerning picture of attacks on multilateralism and civil society. The report highlights how world leaders have been too submissive in the face of these attacks, allowing a predatory, anti-rights order to take hold. The report specifically calls out several countries for human rights violations, including Israel, the United States, Russia, Myanmar, Afghanistan, and the United Arab Emirates. It also notes that the International Criminal Court has been undermined by these countries, which is a worrying trend for those who care about accountability and justice. Closer to home, the report criticizes the Irish government for failing to enact legislation banning trade with illegal Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territory. This is an issue that has been debated for some time, and it's clear that Amnesty International believes more needs to be done to uphold human rights in this area. In another story, we're seeing a growing trend of leaders being accused of being too soft on aggressors. A former senior advisor to the Palestine Liberation Organization has written that the EU's approach to Israel is defined by double standards and selectivity, rather than principles and respect for human rights. This is a complex issue with many different perspectives and opinions, and we'll be exploring it further in upcoming segments. As we take a closer look at these stories, it's clear that there are many challenges facing the world today. From attacks on international law to human rights violations, it's more important than ever that we stay informed and engaged. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into the world of politics, where a recent scandal has been making headlines in the UK. The controversy surrounds Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his handling of the security vetting process for a former official. According to reports, Starmer's government has been accused of withholding information about the vetting failure from senior ministers, including the Prime Minister himself. Now, let's break it down. The issue at hand is whether Starmer knew about the vetting failure and when he knew it. The Prime Minister claims that officials in the Foreign Office kept this information from him, which he finds incredible and staggering. However, his critics argue that this is a classic case of passing the buck and avoiding accountability. It's essential to note that Starmer's government has been facing criticism for its handling of various issues, including the national budget, welfare, and migration. The opposition has been quick to pounce on this scandal, calling for greater transparency and accountability from the government. As we examine this story, it's crucial to consider multiple perspectives and avoid jumping to conclusions. While some might view Starmer's explanation as plausible, others might see it as a convenient excuse. Ultimately, the truth will come out, and it's up to the public to decide what they make of it. The upcoming local elections on May 7th will be an interesting test for Starmer's government, as voters will have the opportunity to express their opinions on the current state of affairs. Will this scandal have a significant impact on the election results, or will other issues take center stage? Only time will tell. Welcome back to Concrete Block. Today, we're going to dive into the complex world of economic warfare and explore how it's changing the global landscape. As we've seen in recent years, countries are increasingly using economic leverage to achieve their strategic goals, and this has significant implications for international relations and global stability. The concept of choke points is particularly relevant here, referring to critical points in the global economy where a single country or entity can exert control over the flow of goods, services, or information. These choke points can be used to gain an advantage over other nations, and we've seen this play out in various forms, from trade wars to sanctions. The United States, in particular, has been at the forefront of economic warfare, using its significant economic power to influence the behavior of other countries. However, as other nations develop their own economic leverage, the U.S. is finding that its advantages are being eroded. This raises important questions about how the U.S. can adapt to this new reality and maintain its position in the global economy. One potential approach is for the US to build a more coordinated and strategic approach to economic warfare, working with its allies to create trusted supply chains and align sanctions and industrial policies. This could help to neutralize the coercive power of rivals like China and Russia, while also promoting economic security and prosperity. It's also worth noting that economic security and prosperity are not mutually exclusive goals. In fact, they can be complementary, as long as countries pursue security in a multilateral and cooperative way. By working together, nations can create a more stable and predictable global economy, which benefits everyone involved. As we look to the future, it's clear that economic warfare will continue to play a major role in international relations. The key is for countries to find a balance between pursuing their strategic interests and maintaining a stable and open global economy. By doing so, we can create a more prosperous and secure world for all. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.